Hi, in this video we will look at the difference between simple and fractional distillation, and we will explain how to separate a mixture of liquids with different boiling points. Now recall that a solution is formed when a solute dissolves in a solvent. For example, salt water is a solution formed when the solute salt dissolves in the solvent water. Now to separate out the solute from the solvent, that is the salt from the water, we can use a technique called simple distillation. Now the apparatus used to carry out a simple distillation experiment is shown on screen. To separate out the water from the salt solution is placed in a round bottom flask and a few anti-bumping granules are added. These are needed to ensure that the salt solution boils evenly and smoothly. Next, a still head is placed on top of the round bottom flask, along with a thermometer holder and a thermometer, and finally a Liebig condenser is attached to the still head. The Liebig condenser is essentially a tube within a tube. It consists of an inner tube which is surrounded by a cooling jacket of cold water from a tap. To distill the salt solution, it is heated using a Bunsen burner or an electrical heater. The water in the solution will evaporate to form steam, and the thermometer in the still head should now read 100 degrees Celsius. The hot steam will continue to rise and enter the Liebig condenser, where it will cool down and condense to form liquid water, which can be collected in a beaker or a conical flask. Simple distillation was good at separating a mixture of salt from water. However, simple distillation does have limitations. For example, consider the three liquids methanol, ethanol and water. Now these three liquids are all miscible, that is, they will all mix freely to form a colourless solution containing a mixture of the three liquids. Now if we try to separate these three liquids using simple distillation, it will most likely not be possible because the boiling points of the liquids are all fairly close to each other. If this mixture of three liquids is placed in the round bottom flask and heated, then the first fraction to evaporate off will likely be a mixture of methanol and ethanol, since the two liquids have boiling points which are close together. However, we can improve our distillation apparatus to enable us to separate the mixture of three liquids by simply adding a tall fractionating column. This is simply a tall thin column with a temperature gradient. It will be hot at the bottom, close to the Bunsen burner and heat, and it will get cooler the further up the column you go. The thin fractionating column can also be filled with glass beads or balls, which will also provide a large surface area for the evaporating liquids to condense upon. So initially, if the mixture of three liquids in the round bottom flask is heated, then the methanol will evaporate first, and so will some of the ethanol, and even a little bit of the water is likely to evaporate too. These hot vapours will then rise and enter the fractionating column. Now as soon as these vapours hit any glass beads in the fractionating column at a temperature lower than their boiling points, they will simply condense and form liquids which will drop back into the flask. Now the liquid with the lowest boiling point will rise further up the column before it condenses and turns back into a liquid. And so in the fractionating column, what you will have is the liquid with the lowest boiling point will be closest to the top of the column, in this case the methanol, and in the middle of the column will be the ethanol vapours which will be condensing, while the water will be at the bottom of the column and it will condense and simply drop back into the flask. And so by simply turning up the heat, we can force the vapours to rise further and further up the column until they enter the Liebig condenser, where they will condense and they can be collected in separate beakers. And so by simply adding a fractionating column, it will be possible to separate out these three liquids. We can summarise by saying that simple distillation is used to separate a liquid or a solvent from a solution, while fractional distillation is used to separate a mixture of liquids with different boiling points. Hi, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or would simply like more information, then why not visit the website that accompanies these videos? The links are in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you.